Today, we will share some of the old pioneers celebrating their 100th year anniversary. The inauguration of the church was on April 19, 1923. We have interviewed many members that span the years from 1920 to 2023. The Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church has had 4 locations where their members have worshiped over the years. The first location was located at 209 Greens Ferry Street. The second location was at 105 Ashby Street. The third location was at 312 Hightower Road. The next location was 291 Hamilton E. Holmes Drive, which is our present location. Good morning, Oli Clemens.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming to be with us this morning and to share your story of being a member of the Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church. When you served here at the Berean Church, what were some of the capacities that you served in?
Well, I served in the capacity of deacon. I was on the deacon board for a little while, and a couple of years or so. I enjoyed that tremendously. I served on the new members committee, and then I was actually, I led the new members committee for a little while. Mm-hmm. And then I served also on personal ministries. I served in the personal ministries capacity. I was associate leader of that. I don't know. I'm trying to think. It seems like there was something else. I served in the capacity as an elder.
Yes, and you were not just the regular elder. You actually served as...
I actually served as the head elder. Indeed. I served as the associate head and then the head elder as well.
Yes. Do you remember how many years that was?
Ooh, probably about, and the head elder role, maybe 13, nearly 14 years or so. I'm kind of trying to remember that, but...
Pretty long time, right?
Yeah, it was a good while.
And you held there, and you served as well.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Listen, it was truly my pleasure. Awesome responsibility that God put me in, mm-hmm. and I was just absolutely amazed that He called me for that. So it's a really good time in our history of the church for me to have been in that position. I was just, I don't know, profoundly grateful that the Lord would select me, of all people, to be in our church at such a historic time. And I'm just so happy that I was a part of it.
And we were too. We were really blessed. And I know the pastor that you were under at that time was Pastor Bird.
Yes.
And he would often say that he wouldn't know what to do without you. So you really helped carry him along, and we're thankful for that because he took care of business here, and so we were grateful for both of you guys.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I was selected and called to be in the position of head elder as he came, mm-hmm. And that pastoral transition, and it was just really a very good time. We had an A team. You were a part of it. Oh, we had an A team here. Our church grew probably nearly twice its size.
That's right.
And membership. And that's why I said there's so many historic moments here in Berean at the Mother Church. That was a historic time that I will never, ever forget, and be eternally grateful to God for allowing me to be in that position.
Go ahead. Amen. That's right. You did an awesome job. Now, after Pastor Bird left, we had the next pastor, and you served under him also, right?
Yes, Pastor Russell, mm-hmm. Pastor Freddie Russell, and Pastor Russell came in, and we were still rocking and rolling, and he came in and he did his thing, and we continued to move Berean forward. He continued to move Berean forward. We served well. We still had a good time. Our church was still moving well.
That's right. And you went on next to the next pastor, right?
Yes, under Pastor Jack for a brief moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a little while. Yeah, we were probably, I don't know, maybe trying to remember the time frame, but it was toward the end of my ministry. So I'm thinking maybe a year or so, but I can't recall the exact time. But yes, did serve with him for a little while.
But isn't it amazing to go under 3 different pastors and be able to to be there for them, to support them, and to help them. So thank you for helping with the transition, as they moved on, or moved from one place to the next, and then you had another one. So thanks for staying.
Thank you.
So I had this down, but I wasn't sure. Was it the advisory committee at the conference that you?
Oh, yes. I served when I was on the executive committee with the conference. I also served and led the lay advisory committee.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I knew there were some things that were going on across the street. I just couldn't remember what they were.
Yes.
And we were also very proud of you. When you were serving in the different capacities, but you also had an opportunity to take it to a different level, I guess. And so I just wanted to see if you would talk about what that was, and so that we can, hear about the position and how things are going, or how, things are going with that.
Sure. Well, I guess God has a way of allowing you to be put in places that if it were not for him, you would not be there. And I know that from just how he moved me along through church leadership, which prepared me very, very much so for elected leadership. I became elected on city council in Austell in 2013. I was the first African American elected then. And again, another awesome privilege that I could not have ever imagined myself being in. It wasn't on my agenda. I knew it was God.
Yeah.
And so I served in that capacity from 2013 until 2019. And in 2019, the mayor that was there was, he had been ill. His health had been declining for a few years. I was serving in the capacity of mayor pro tem from 2014 up until 2019. And so I had a responsibility of picking up where he couldn't because his health was not good. So I was doing the majority of things that were happening there. I was leading out. And in 2019, he retired. Mm-hmm. And because it was at the end of his term, 6 months left, I became the acting mayor in June of 2019 when he retired. So in order for me to continue on, I had to qualify and launch a campaign and run for that November's election if I wanted to continue in a new term as mayor beginning in 2020. Mm-hmm. So again, God placing me in a position that I could have never thought, the last thing I could have ever thought in my mind, that I would have been first elected as council and then elected as mayor. Each time I put it before God and asked him, if that's what you want, fine. And my prayer to God was simply, Lord, if it's your will and you decide that you want me in this place, then fine, open the door. But if it's not, close it, because it wasn't something that I had planned. So I'll know exactly that that's what you wanted. And if you place me in that position and I'm in a position of help, and I can help others that otherwise may not have been able to, and you get the glory, God, then I'm all for that.
Church, I came in with my grandmother, and at that time we were living in Bourne Holmes. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother always, even though my mother at that time was working the night shift at Grady Memorial Hospital, my grandmother always made sure that we got to church. So when we were living in Bourne Holmes, if she didn't have someone to pick us up to bring us to church, she would send a taxi for us to come to church. So, and as you know, Bourne Holmes is about 2 miles from Berean. Yeah. And so I've been coming to Berean since I was about 5 years old.
Go ahead.
It's the only church I know. I did not know what I wanted to go into until about the 10th grade. I just decided that I wanted to be a physician. Don't ask me why. But my grandmother had laid that groundwork because my grandmother was an uncertified midwife in the neighborhood. So when people were giving birth, they would call for my grandmother to assist with delivering their child. And it's funny that's a very large part of my practice was OB. Mm-hmm. But my grandmother had laid that foundation about health care. And then I just followed in her footsteps. You know, I stand on her shoulders. And she is really the person that's responsible for me going into the healthcare field. And the other part of that is that my mother was a unit clerk at Grady Memorial Hospital on labor and delivery up until she retired. So there were two people involved in obstetrics. And so both of them had an influence upon the area that I went into. I'm family medicine, but a large part of my practice was OB.
To know about you.
Well, one of the things is that about me, I would not be where I am had it not been for the foundation that was laid right here at Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church. And as I wrote a book entitled Ain't Gonna Let No Baby Turn Me Around. But the overall theme in that book is how God put people in my life and took people out of my life so that I could continue this journey. And when you go back and you read my story, God had his hands on me the entire time. You know, and it's just amazing. If you just allow God to direct your path, you will not fail.
One of the things that I heard anyway was that you came to Atlanta when you were how old?
I was 16 years old.
You were 16.
16, 1966.
Wow. So did you start coming to Berean at that time?
I did. I
Okay.
did. I started attending Berean at that time with my father.
Okay.
You know, my father, was bringing me to church during that period of time.
And I remember your father.
Yes, Malcolm J. Dean.
You want to give his full name, your dad's?
Malcolm James Dean.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So it's a family affair.
Yes, yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
So when you started coming to Berean and then you were baptized by Elder Franklin, what did you get interested in when you were here?
Good question, Kathy. You know, actually, it wasn't long after I joined the church that I was recommended to be on the deacon board. And I was trying to think. It seems like to me that within a year or so, I think I was on the deacon board. Within a year, definitely within the first 2 years, I think. Yeah. And you know, and I certainly enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed working with the deacons. I learned a lot. Elder Hall was the head deacon at the time, and I think Elder Hall, you know, even as up to this time, has been, you know, he was the longest serving head deacon of this church. 1983, then that means I've been a deacon for 39 years. Wow. That's something. I didn't really realize how the time had gone by so quickly. But yeah, right about 30, definitely, you know, I would say 38 or 39 years.
And what's amazing is that as you served in that capacity, your demeanor and especially your smile was always there.
Well,
when you came around, you always had that beautiful smile, and that brightened up my day, and I know many other folks' day also. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Kathy. You're very kind. You're very kind.
And besides that, I also know that you did some financials, right?
Yes,
So you want to
yes.
talk about what those positions were?
Surely. I forgot the exact year, but it was in sometimes during the 80s. I was selected to be on the budget committee, budget and finance committee, and during the period of time that I've been here, I've served as the chairman of the budget committee 2 separate times. I think one time maybe late 80s, early 90s, and most recently I served from, I think it was 2016 or 17 until 2021. Yeah, until 2021. So it was about 4 or 5 years during that period. And of course, I was on the budget committee, most of that time, and I served as the treasurer. I think for about 4 years. In fact, when we moved to our current venue, to our current church, coming over from the other church, I was serving as treasurer during that time. In fact, I was treasurer when we paid off the mortgage of this church.
So you won't forget that.
I
That's
won't
awesome.
forget that. I won't forget that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Is there anything or a message that you would like to share, when I say the audience or the folk who will get a chance to see this, about your time here at the Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church?
Yeah, well, I have, over the years, I have witnessed our congregation, becoming a very cohesive organization where everybody seems to really enjoy each other and to love each other, and that's something that I have always admired. And I imagine it may be the same situation in other churches, but this, my church, the Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church, I've really noticed that over the years, and I've always cherished that, and I truly, that's one thing that I have always wanted to see continue, that we keep that cohesiveness, that love for each other, because that is one of the reasons why I was so involved in the church over the years, serving in the various capacities. It wasn't so much just to hold office, but I wanted to be of service, to God, and as well as to the other members of the church. So that's something that I really cherish, and I truly hope that that's something that we will be able to continue and even become even more cohesive and loving, with each other as time goes on.
Well, I'm just so thankful that the church I finally joined is Berean, and the way it happened, our outreach ministry came to my apartment complex, and they were doing the food distribution, and I started once not to even go down. I didn't really need anything, but I went down, and one of the ladies was handing out papers, a lot of different categories of needs, transportation or Bible study or different things, and I checked Bible study because I was having difficulty. I wanted to read the Bible, but I was having difficulty staying in it.
Yes.
So I thought, well, let me give this a try. And the person who responded, she might not want me to mention her name, but Sister Mae Williams was the perfect person for me. Very understanding. She left me with no excuses. We were having Bible study. I didn't even know it would lead to baptism. She actually told me on a Wednesday that there was going to be a baptism that Sabbath. And I went, ooh. I didn't know this was where this was going. She left me no excuses at all. I don't drive, no excuses, none. And so I said, I'll tell you tomorrow. But after we parted, and I had done a lot of crying too, I could almost cry now. But after we parted, I just felt a drawing. Can we stop there for a minute?
That's all right. That's all right. One of those word songs. Yes, that's awesome.
And I knew it was my time to do this. And I called her the next day and told her, I'm good for Saturday. I'm good. So it's just been a joy to be a part of Berean. Yes. Early in the process, it was put out on the buzz that the outreach ministry needed volunteers. And I was thinking, what can I do? I don't know. I don't sing that great or I don't know what skill, But I I said, well, I can try. I can try. And I went, made myself available. It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to do. It strengthened everything too, as far as the church. It felt like a mini church over there. I didn't know much about anything. I'd never worked in a food pantry, but, bag groceries, or whatever. And, but unfortunately, physical problems kind of shortened my time. I think I was just there like a year and maybe 4 months or so. I think I saw Joseph over there too. But it's a wonderful thing to do. If anybody can do it, I say do it. It does your spirit so much good.
I had passed Berean several times, going to work on Bankhead Highway. And I remember one special program that was on. It was a singer, and I can't remember her name, but anyway, it would always get my attention because they had this big sign out there in the front. I believe her name was Brian. But anyway, at the time, I had 2 little girls, and I was working every day. I had no place to, nobody to keep them, and I know that the Lord just instilled in me that I should put them in Berean daycare. And as a matter of fact, my baby was not old enough. Her birthday is in September, so she would have to wait another year before she could go to school. But somebody told me about Berean, the daycare. And I brought them over, and they were willing to accept her, even though she was not of age. They accepted her, and I put both of my little girls, Keeza and Stacy, in Berean's daycare. And I
But
believe.
you have 3 girls, right? Now.
No, actually, I have 5 girls, but these were the younger ones. I had nobody to keep them, but somebody told me about Berean, and they accepted them. And they became very active in Sabbath school, and they had, and I believe it was Erica Raphael's mother that just took them under her wing, made sure they were at Sabbath school every Sabbath.
What a blessing.
But at the time, now I was doing hair, but I had given up my Saturday because they wanted to know where was the mother of these 2 little girls. And I started to come to church. And Sister Mary Palmer became my Sabbath, my Bible worker.
Yes.
My, not Bible worker, but my Bible teacher. And she would come to my place, my house, every Monday morning, right on time, 9 o'clock.
Wow. So the girls, the 2 youngest girls were instrumental in getting you into the church building?
Yes, they were.
Wow.
They were, because I had to get up and get them ready for Sabbath school. And
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have something special you would like to share, or you would like for the folk who get a chance to watch this? Do you have anything you want to share so that they can hear your story?
well, yes, I do. I have, you know, when you're in a new church, you don't, you're not too, I came from a Baptist church, but after getting into the church, I became interested in Sabbath school. And I believe Brother Brown was my Sabbath school teacher. And so that has led me into not only Sabbath school, but I became interested in singing in the choir. I believe it was Sister Alexander was over this, the choir.
So you were in a lot of different things, and so Sabbath school and choir, and that kept you busy, and then the kids. So, oh, that's awesome.
And I believe it was Ella Lawrence. It was my kids and I. We were the only Adventists in my family. So after church, we would go with them to their home. We would have dinner together, and after dinner, we would always go out and do tracks, different activities. In fact, we just spent the rest of the Sabbath with the Lawrence family.
Okay. When I joined the church, I was the only Adventist in my family. And Leela Alexander and her husband, they were members of Berean. And I would see them dressed up, going somewhere every Sabbath. I thought they were attending a funeral every Saturday. And then one Saturday, I saw Henry dressed in white. I said, they must be going to a wedding today. But shortly after that, Elder Fairfax said, always come and leave material, but I wouldn't read it. But my mother would read it. And they say they're having an evangelistic tent meeting down on Washington High School. So I didn't go the first week. My mom went the first week. I went the second week. And for 16 weeks, I attended the meeting on Washington High School field. After that, I was baptized over in Westview. They had a potable pool. 215 people were baptized that particular day. They had 6 ministers in the pool. I remember Elder Franklin and Elder Neely being in the pool. Those are some of the pastors I remember. Since that particular time when I was baptized, Elder Cleveland's wife had a Bible study, and I would assist her when she had a Bible study. But long story short, my father came to Sabbath school, and because he had problems hearing, he said, I can hear you so clearly. So he attended. My father was baptized. I was staying with my sister at the time. She would pick up all the literature and read it. And I guess maybe she read herself into the church. She was baptized by Elder Parker. And since then, I've had nieces, nephews, and my other sister, she came to church one Sabbath just to see what was going on. So we sat in the back. And when Elder Henry's son was singing, Lord, I'm coming home, she just jumped up and ran to the front and joined church. And I just tore up Berean that shouting, praising the Lord, that she had joined the church.
Praise God.
So I'm praising the Lord today that many of my family members have joined the church. And I'm just happy that I'm still a member. And I plan to be here until Jesus comes.
Amen. In the history of your time here at the Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church, can you repeat your whole name as you for me?
Arthur Jones.
Arthur Jones. And do you mind sharing what your age is?
73.
God is good. And the location, because we've been at different locations since we've been here historically. Can you share which location you became a member of?
105 Ashby Street.
So you remember the address and everything. You go ahead. That's awesome. And one of the things that I remember, because it seems like we go back for such a long time, but I remember working with your mom and your dad in a couple of the crusades that they had, and they would actually do them themselves, and the whole family was a part of that. Can you share some of that with us and the experience that you had on that?
Yes, well, my dad was in charge of erecting the church in Griffin, Georgia. And